My friends, what's up? Welcome to the first run vlog of 2024. So I think this is the absolute perfect day to talk to you about New Year's resolutions. These are the decisions of things that we want to approach, or not really approach, but change in 2024. And of course, we're going to be taking this topic, looking at this topic from a running perspective. And you guessed it, this is going to come as a surprise to no one, but I want to hear what your resolutions are. If you have made a resolution, I want to know what they are. Now remember, a resolution is a statement of something that you want to change compared to a goal, which is something that you want to achieve. So if you do want to add in your goals as well as your resolutions, I'd love to hear them because I'm sure that you've got a lot of goals. But in order to meet those goals, you may have to make some resolutions. All right, let's get into it. All right, guys, this is a good one. And I came across an article in Psychology Today. And that article is titled 6 New Year's Resolutions for Athletic Success. And of course, I will place a link in the show notes below in case you want to read through the article. But this video is basically the cliff notes of that article. And first off, look, I think sometimes resolutions, they get a bad rap, especially if you are a doer, right? If you're watching this, I assume that you are a doer. Maybe you procrastinate in a few things, but ultimately you get stuff done. And that is because if you are watching this, you are a runner, you're maybe an athlete of some sort. And to participate in your sport of choice, it isn't always easy. Sometimes you have to overcome some hurdles in order to get out there and go for that run, or whatever sport it is that you do. But I still think it never hurts to just remind ourselves of what we need to do in order to continue the success that we've seen in the past. Or perhaps there is something that we need to change. But anyway, I did get off that topic just a little bit. New Year's resolutions are often frowned upon because if we want to make a change, why not make the change immediately? And I am also of that thinking. If there's something that I know I need to change, I'm not going to wait till January 1st in order to make that change. But here we are. And if you're watching this video on January 1st or February 1st or any day, it all still counts. You can make the changes that you want right now. So our first resolution, in order for you to be the most successful runner that you can be this year, is to accept the inevitable ups and downs of our sport. There is a very strong parallel between running and life. And I say that a little tongue in cheek, but this resolution is especially closely aligned to life. There's going to be ups and downs, and it's how we handle those ups and downs. Well, it's really how we handle the downs. Most of us, I'm sure, handle the ups a little better than we handle the downs. But it's how we handle those ups and downs that dictates how we move forward and how we progress. And look, I think a great example of this is when things don't go well on race day. Perhaps you have had a fantastic training block, you've hit all your workouts, you've tapered well, you're feeling good for the race, and then all of a sudden, let's say it's extremely cold and wet on race day, right? It's not ideal. Or for my recent half marathon, it was very windy and warm, right? It's not ideal for a top level performance. But in order to move forward and be better the next time, we have to realize that these short-term performances, they really don't mean much at all. Instead, we've got to look at and focus on our ability to persevere through these things that aren't ideal. And when we do persevere, those are the times that these races that don't go exactly how we think they should, they're actually going to shape our ultimate experience as an athlete moving forward. So I want you to remember, when you're making this resolution of acceptance of the ups and downs, that one competition, one race, it isn't a make or break situation. It's merely one small step in your athletic journey. And you don't know this, at least at the time, when you have something go wrong that doesn't go ideal. You don't know it, but that is actually shaping you to handle your next race even better, right? Sports, it's kind of an uncontrollable thing, which means we are likely going to have as many ups as we do downs. So when something doesn't go your way, roll with it and look forward to the future, because it's likely something good's going to happen. Actually, there's no way for me to know that, but either way, roll with it. I think that's an excellent resolution. Okay, the second resolution for athletic success is to have patience. My friends, this is a big one. And get this, there is no timetable for athletic success, and moreover, athletic success is defined differently for every single person. Unless, of course, you're at the very top level of your sport, and then athletic success is probably measured more by podium finishes or time finishes. And by time finishes, I mean, breaking a world record. So here's the thing, Patience is a virtue. That sounds insightful. Did I just coin a new phrase? Anyway, look, again, we don't compare ourselves to others because for some people, athletic success is going to come quickly. For some people, it's going to take a little longer, right? I don't think you need reminding not to compare yourself to others. It very rarely ends well, but I need you to make a resolution that you're going to be patient. You're going to let yourself develop as an athlete. And look, here's the thing. When you have patience, it's inevitable that you are going to last longer. And if you last longer, you're going to give yourself time to improve and actually see the fruits of your labor, see the results from the work you're putting in. You know the old saying that 90% of success is just showing up? Well, the reality is that after a few setbacks, most people just stop doing what they're doing. They want that quick fix. They want to see those immediate results. And that's not how running works. The article points out that overnight success is like a unicorn. It's magical, everybody wishes for it, but it doesn't actually exist. Look, ultimately, success comes to those who continue to show up. so have patience. Resolution 3 for athletic success is to be prepared as you can be for every competition. So look, if 90% of success is in just showing up, the other 10% is actually being prepared for what you're showing up for. You know what I mean? Like this video is being published on January 1st. In the middle of April, when I show up at the Boston Marathon, I can't have just sat on the sofa for the last 4 months and then just because I show up think, I'm going to crush this race. It doesn't actually work like that. And you know this, a lot goes into preparation. It's not just the training, but you do have to put in the training. So let's start with training. You have to be prepared physically, and preparing yourself physically is going to be different for everyone depending on what kind of training plan you're following. There's also strength training and cross training and anything else you do that's going to contribute to the preparation of the event that you're training for. What about fueling? I think fueling is an excellent way to prepare. Now, a lot of resolutions are something like, I want to eat less sweets. Or if not sweets, something to do with diet. I want to eat better. So here's the thing, we've got to be a little more specific when we're doing this, but that is part of your preparation for the event that you're training for. And look, I know I keep talking about training for a specific event. I know a lot of you, or at least some of you, may not be training for an event. And that's totally fine. But you're still going to get out there and you're still going to be running and you still want to get better. And if you don't want to get better, you want to remain consistent. And the preparation for remaining consistent can be eating a healthy diet or having a specific meal plan kind of dialed in for the days before your race. When it gets to race day, we have to prepare to fuel ourselves during the race. Are we having 1 or 2 or 3 cups of coffee before the race? What are we having for breakfast? How are we fueling during the race? These are all the things that we have to prepare for in order to be successful. And let's not forget about mental preparation. I think this can be one of the most difficult things because if we're not absolutely focused on our mental preparation, sometimes we can let it slide, we can let negative thoughts seep in, and letting those negative thoughts seep in it's very insidious. It can really attack you from within. So work on your mental game as part of preparation for race day. Okay, the 4th resolution for athletic success is to focus on the process to get the results that you want. Look, I think this is easier said than done. And I know a lot of stuff that we talk about when we're doing these run vlogs are easier said than done, right? Actually, being a runner itself is easier said than done. But when we focus on the results, we're focusing on the end result of something. We're not focused on the steps it takes to reach that end result. So an extreme example would be me focusing on a result of running 2 hours and 20 minutes in the marathon, right? Man, I am focused on that result. I'm going to do it. I'm going to think about it every day until I go to my next marathon and I run 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm going to sit on my sofa and think about it all day long, every day until race day, right? Clearly, look, I know that's an extreme example, but sometimes it takes an extreme example to show how silly it is to focus on the results. Now, let's say that I was actually capable of running a 2 hour and 20 minute marathon. It would be better for me to focus on the process in order to reach that goal. So am I hitting my splits in workouts? Am I doing the right workouts? Am I doing enough volume? Am I sleeping enough? Am I recovering enough in general? When we focus on the process of actually getting to where we want, it's not an afterthought, but it's almost like a bonus. It's the whole thing about it being about the journey, not the destination. And this holds true in running and preparing for a race. Good resolution, process over results. The 5th resolution for athletic success is to actually put in an effort, to send it every time you're at a race. And I think this is as silly as it is not silly, because obviously if we are going to a race, many of us are going to be paying to get into this race. So why would we pay money in order to not run at potentially our very best? Well, I'll tell you why. And that is because generally people, obviously not me and not you, but people have a fear of failure. And a fear of failure causes us to be very tentative and almost approach our performances too cautiously. And the thing is that when we approach our races, our competitions too cautiously, we don't get the results that we want. And I know we're not focusing on results, but we have prepared and we have followed the process in order to get to that race. But then all of a sudden, if you don't put in the right amount of effort, you're never going to get what you want in the end. And look, it's a very fine line, right? It's very easy to just go a little too hard in the beginning and then you blow up and you don't finish the race, right? But this all comes back to preparation. You've already prepared. You know how to properly pace throughout your race. And I don't know if you've heard it today yet, but races are uncomfortable. And if you're not uncomfortable, you're doing it wrong. Look, not much good comes from having a fear of failure, at least in the race scene. There is a very thin line. There is a line that we are towing when we go out on race day. We know that if we go just slightly too hard, it's possible that we won't finish the race. Or in the best case scenario, we'll slow down so much that we won't meet the goal that we've been training for. But here's the thing, if you don't try, you definitely won't get there. So if you hold back and you know because you've made an A, B, and C goal and you think, well, if I don't meet my C goal, then I'll be really disappointed. By doing that, you're not actually giving yourself the chance to achieve your A goal. And look, every time isn't going to work. Sometimes things are going to go wrong and you will not finish your race, or you won't finish your race in the time that you hope to. And that's okay, because remember, resolution number one, we're going to accept the ups and downs of our sport. But if you don't send it, if you don't give it absolutely everything on race day, you're leaving something on the table. And hey, look, from personal experience, I can tell you that I have had the best post-race feelings after I have given it a very solid effort, even if the number at the end of the race, my finishing time, wasn't exactly what I had hoped for, right? When you give it your best, when you try really hard to do something, even if you don't get the result that you wanted, you feel good because you gave it everything. So, this resolution, I want you to send it every single time you compete. Got it? Okay, and the sixth resolution for athletic success is to not have any regrets at the end of your training season. And I think not having any regrets is going to be a product of all the other resolutions that we've already made, right? Being able to handle the ups and downs, being patient, being as prepared as we can be, focusing on the process, not the outcome, and giving your best effort every time you race. We follow these 5 resolutions that we've already made at this point. We're not going to have any regrets. But here's the thing, and this is a very difficult resolution to make because you can't actually stick to this one alone. You have to follow a recipe in order to not have any regrets. But it's still a fine resolution, and I want you to stick to it because I don't want you to have regrets at the end of this year. Or not the end of the year, but at the end of each training block. So guys, here we are. We're at the start of a new year. I want you to be the best runner you can be, and I want to know about those resolutions and, of course, your goals. And I think because I mentioned a unicorn at some point in this video, I want you to drop the unicorn emoji in the comments if you have made it to this point in the video. Oh, and look, I always forget to ask at the right time, but if you're not already subscribed to the channel, consider doing so and give this video a thumbs up. Both of those things just help me and help the video get sent out to other runners like you who may need to hear about how to make running resolutions for athletic success. My name's Matt P. This has been a video on running resolutions. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.